Okay, aloha kakahiaka, everyone. My name is Kylie. I'm a librarian with the Hawaii State Public Library System. Mahalo for joining us today for our special reading with Uncle Kaipō Pomaikai. Um, my job today is to get you guys all oriented and hand the presentation over to Uncle Kaipō, and I will be monitoring the chat and helping you guys out. I'm going to share my screen now so that we can go over some of the reminders and the agenda for today. Okay, so today we're gonna do introductions. I'm gonna give you guys some reminders, and then Uncle Kaipō is gonna talk story with you guys and read his book. And then we're going to have like a Q&A talk story session. And then at the very end of the program, I'm just going to remind everybody about our upcoming virtual events and a little bit about our reading challenge. Today's program is special because it speaks to the reading challenge theme that all of our public libraries are doing this summer, Oceans of Possibilities. So I'm going to talk about that. And then reminders. So today we're going to ask everybody to keep your mic muted until you're called upon, just so that when Uncle Kaipō is talking, there's no background noise while he's trying to read the book. Feel free to use the chat for comments and questions. I'll be monitoring the chat while Uncle is talking. A recording of this program is going to be available about a week from today. The Hawaii State Public Library System has a YouTube page that we upload our recorded virtual programs on there. Each virtual program stays up on our YouTube according to the presenter's wishes. So it may be a short upload of a week. It could be a long upload up to a year. I believe Uncle Kaipō and Kanehuna Moku Voyaging Society said that we can leave this up as long as you want. So you guys will get the opportunity to review if you guys missed something really awesome. And for the people that registered today, they'll also get a reminder email. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Uncle Kaipō Pomaikai real quick. Me and Uncle Kaipō go way back. Uncle Kaipō is from Nanakuli, my home community. This is the Nanakuli Library behind me in my virtual background. We are super stoked to be able to host him today because his book, the book about him is Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa, the story of a Hawaiian tugboat captain. And this story, Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa, means little work, little gain. So this story is about Uncle Kaipō's life and the life lessons that he has learned growing up in Nanakuli, being a tugboat captain, starting the Waianae Maritime Academy for a few years. The book was actually written by Ku'ule Anuhea Avo-chan and was illustrated by Christy, I'm going to say this wrong, Mahealani Desua Kido. Okay, Uncle's probably going to say this better than me. But today it's really special that we can have Uncle Kaipō read the book to us because this book is really about him and his hopes of having this children's book and teaching our keiki these important life lessons that he learned as a child here in Nanakuli. So I'm really honored to be able to introduce him today and to help him with all of his Zoom technical things. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Uncle.
Mahalo, mahalo Kylie. Yeah, aloha kako, aloha kakahiaka. My name is Paul Kaipō Pomaikai Sr. I am the son of Josephine Manini Pililao Leon of the Ka'apahupua of Kamalo Molokai. Also the son of Samuel A'alona, Ka'opua Elders Malietoa from Waipio on the Big Island of Hawaii. This book was written actually as a family. It was written about what we can do at a young age and how it affects all of our lives. As a young child growing up in a family of 9 siblings in a 1-bedroom home on Akawai Road, less than 100 yards from the Pacific Ocean, my mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad worked for the U.S. Navy Munitions Department at Pearl Harbor, Waikele, and at Lu'ulule. At 16:30 every day, when my dad would come home from work, he would get his trawnette, put on his tubbies, and grab his 3 sons myself and my two brothers, and we would grab 3 sacks and head to the beach. He was a very avid fisherman. Everybody knew him in the community, and he did really well. And he would take us at the end of the day with the 3 pillowcases Mom didn't know about, all full. We would drop off fish on the way home, from as far as Nakatani to Hakima Road. And all of our ohana, aloha, and especially our kupuna, o makua, would get fish every time my father would drop it off. And he'd just have us put them inside a sink, put them in a door, or even put them in an ice box, and then we'd leave. But we'd still make it home with a half a sack of fish for dinner. Because my dad had so much aloha and would makana and would gift our neighbors with fish, when it came time to build out our little home on Akawai Road, to enclose the entire of the outside of the house, because it was a 1-bedroom home. So he built a veranda all the way around the house, roofed it, closed it in with a screen, and then we also had awnings for the weather. He built 9 pune'e for us kids, and he did not have to buy building supplies like lumber, nails, totango tin roof, paint, and cement. All the building supplies was donated by the church and Kanaka in the community. My papa would makana or give ia or fish. We had a picture dream home, spacious, clean, and functional. Everyone had a chore as soon as they were safely capable of doing and completing it. Seriously, we contributed as soon as it was practical. I owned and had the kuleana for a chore every day and was assigned to it until I graduated, which was at 18 years old when I moved out. Hand-me-downs was good, and back then my father, yes, my father, not my mom, would mend all the puka knees, puka behinds, and an expert. He was an expert in taking in and letting out all the sizes when necessary. Our clothes was outlived. Its second life went to the rag box and used for every chore in the house. When my baby brother Matthew, our number 9, was born, my father finally said, okay, it was time to get a bigger house. So we moved to the Bill Andersons on Akawai and Farrington Highway roads. My father could never live far from Kekai, and it was a large 3-bedroom home. Cool. We all had our own rooms. 5 boys in one, 4 girls in another. My mom and dad had their own room. On my time, when I'm not in school or at church, I used to gather seaweed on the papa and beaches of Nanakuli for my Auntie Hana and Uncle Moses Iokua. That's the grandparents of Mokeboy. That used to come all the way from Kaneohe to get their makana o Kekai. My mama saved all the Gerber baby food bottles and gave me a shelf in the refrigerator to store, because me and her would split the quarter a jar bounty I would reap from the sea. I'd fill them up with limo. Auntie's favorite limo was lipo, red in color, a little pika, little hot, found in a rock and sand location, just like the kupe'e. This limo was for her loimoi, inunui, and holiholi. I picked lipepe, limoko, and limokala for her, and I always had a few bottles of inamona, kukui nut, roasted kukui nut, handy for Uncle Moke's pokeaku. We had a huge kukui nut tree in our Kauai property, and neighbors would always let us glean their kukui trees, and we in turn gave them bottles of roasted, picked, and salted inamona. Dad had a chili pepper tree that only he could pick. I'd wait until he gave me enough, and then I'd get our chili pepper pot out and make chili pepper water. Mama had the ingredients of garlic, pa'akai, and ginger to taste, and when pao, the ginger was less. We don't put vinegar. We'd set it in the sun on the patio roof next to our TV antenna, and Dad would let us know when it was pao and was ready to call Auntie and Uncle from Kaneohe to come and get the chili pepper water. Pastors Sarah and Samuel H.K. Kila, Sr., leaders of the Door Faith Church and Mission on Haleakala Avenue, and our landlords always had an endless supply of my abundance. In return, I was the only one allowed to climb on the roof to pick the piri and the Hayden mangoes. We'd also have, in return, I was able to go up on the roof at our favorite swimming spot called Channels. Many of you might know. There was a lot of small ponds and natural holes in the papa. Back in those days, we used to get fresh pa'akai from them. Careful to note that when you take out the salt, you put back clean ocean water for more pa'akai for the next guy. These lessons learned carried me through my baby time, adolescent, teenage, eventually Wokanaka. What the sea taught me was position, timing, and execution. The tree applied to all aspects of my life and helped me to focus on the task at hand, mitigate the bumps, and always know that whatever it is, we can solve it. Examples like stalking your prey or spearfishing, day or night, taking off at the right position in the lineup, surfing, or doing my time studying and upgrading my deck ticket as a U.S. Merchant Marine, finally attaining the rank of Master of Freight and Towing, and eventually being hired as one of the first Native Hawaiians to be hired to the Assistant Port Captain's position at a leading ocean towing company in the state of Hawaii. Sauce Brothers Inc., whose parent company is out at Coos Bay and Portland, Oregon, with Dale Sauce and the Sauce Hana at the helm. I was really blessed, really blessed. To this day, I still live by this motto I established when we opened up the Hawaiian Maritime Academy. And it is, what have I done to better my life, and how I could always do good to make it better. Thank you. That is who I am. Thank you, Kylie. Oh, I've retired in May 1st of 2022. And Auntie and I have relocated to Las Vegas, Nevada. So that's where I am. I live in a retired community. It's like moving to a graveyard or something. Anyway, I'm supposed to give it back to Kylie.
Okay, mahalo, Uncle, for your introduction. I always love hearing the story about your your small kid days here in my neighborhood. I think right now, Uncle, we're gonna have you read the book out.
Okay.
And then I do want to mention Kanehuna Moku Voyaging Society is the publisher / copyright holder for this book. And we actually have Mahealani here from Kanehuna Moku Voyaging Society with us today. I just wanted to give them a really quick mahalo for allowing us to show the book, to put this recording up for everybody, because normally for library programs, we need the permission of the copyright holder in order to do these kinds of things on the internet. So mahalo for them for being so open. I really appreciate it. And then Uncle Kaipō, I have the slides. So when you're ready to change the page, just let me know and I push the button.
Okay, we'll stay right there. Ka Hana
Okay.
ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa. I'm going to read it a little slow because we're supposed to have children participating in some of the libraries. And it is a children's story, a story of my early life on how I transitioned from a landlubber to a selamoku. And it's a story, again, there's a lot of captains in the state of Hawaii. Anokia, Haole, Japanese, Portuguese, Hawaiian. They all, if they're from the state, these guys are sharp. They know the water and they know the ocean. This book was written by Ku'ule Awo Chan, whose uncle was a cook on my tongue. His name was Kalani Awo, who I appreciate, and I really loved at Kanaka because he was Kalani and he was very good. Ku'ule, again, thank you for letting him to us. Illustrated by Christy de Suicido. And this is a child book again, so everybody, you can follow along with me. Okay, Kylie. Okay. Kanihuna Moku Voyaging Academy, if you folks want a copy of the book, you can write to that organization. We'll probably have it at the end of the presentation. Thank you. Let's begin. Kaipō walked down Pukapants Beach Road, his favorite spot on the island. The sun was warm and the sea spray felt cool on his skin. His dad stood on the rocks near the ocean. Kaipō approached him silently, careful not to disturb the huge school of fish in the water. His dad was standing as still as a statue, waiting with his throw net ready. Okay. Kaipō's dad threw the net quickly with one smooth motion. It flew into the air and it closed in a circle over the fish. He pulled in the net and began carefully removing the catch. After taking all the fish, he stood up, getting ready for the next throw. Kaipō stood behind him and looked into the horizon. He saw something huge moving across the ocean. He tugged on his dad's shorts and pointed. "Dad, what is that?" "That's a tugboat and barge. They bring supplies to the islands from all over," his dad explained. Kaipō stared at the tiny boat pulling the huge flat barge. "That little thing can pull all that," his dad responded. "That small tugboat has powerful engines. It even helps guide the big ships into the dock." "Why do the barges come here?" Kaipō asked. "It's how we get most of our food, gas, and supplies. Without the help of tugboats and barges, we wouldn't have the things we use every day, like toilet paper. If the barges can't come in, Hawaii would run out of important supplies in days." Kaipō stared at the little tugboat chugging across the water. He said, "I wish I could do that one day when I grow up." "Why can't you?" his dad responded. "You said those boats bring in important things for all of Hawaii. How can I do that? I'm just a kid from Waianae." Kaipō's dad stood up, tall. "Son," he said, "you're kupuna across the ocean, using only the stars, winds, and waves, and knowledge from deep in and out. We are here because they knew exactly what to do on Kekai, and they worked hard to get here and survive. You have that in you, too." Kaipō was not sure. "They did that a long time ago. What about me? How can I be as great as my kupuna?" His dad simply said, "You no work, you no eat. You lazy, you starve." "Huh?" Kaipō made a confused face. "There's a saying my tutu always told me. ʻUʻuku Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa. It means little work, little gain. If you don't work, you won't gain anything or get anywhere. That's why I say, you no work, you no eat. But it's more than that. Life will have lots of ups and downs. But if you give your best all the time, you can do great things, just like your kupuna. If working on a tugboat is what you want to do, you need to put in the hard work to get there." Kaipō taught, "ʻUʻuku Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa. Little work, little gain." Kaipō used the phrase his whole life in school when other kids wanted to go play. During class, he tried his best to focus on his work. Kaipō wanted to have fun with his friends too, but he had to tell himself to be respectful and to listen. When he was a teenager and his friends left school to go surfing, he had to tell them no and stay in class. He tried hard not to stare out the window at the waves. He had to remind himself, "ʻUʻuku Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa." Even when Kaipō was an adult, he had to remember his dad's words. He got a job working on a riverboat on the island of Kauai. Every day he would get there early, make sure he looked his best, did his best. He did any job his captain asked him to do. He played music, he drove the boat, and he cleaned up when the day was done. Always in the back of his mind, he remembered ʻUʻuku Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa. His boss, Captain Sonny, noticed all his hard work. Kaipō, Captain Sonny said one day, "How would you like to become a captain?" Kaipō was so excited he remembered that day on the beach with his dad. He replied, "Ever since I was a boy, that was my dream." Captain Sonny replied, "I see you working hard every day. You are here early, you try your best, you come prepared, and treat everyone with aloha. I want to help you. If you take the classes and get your license, pass, I will pay for your schooling." Kaipō was shocked. "What? You would do that for me?" "Yes, I want to help you. I know you can be a great captain." Kaipō had to learn to do things he had never done. He took classes that were very hard. There were times when he thought he couldn't do it and wanted to quit. But if he ever wanted to be a captain, he had to get through all the hard parts. He asked for help when he could, studied hard, and always remembered ʻUʻuku Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa. When it was all over, Kaipō passed his classes with flying colors and got his captain's license, or as people in the maritime industry call it, his ticket. He was proud and happy, and now Kaipō had to set a good example for his crew. He needed to be a strong leader and make sure that everyone on the tugboat was safe. He set a new goal for himself, to be the best captain he could be. He worked for many years as a captain on a tugboat. After a long time in the industry, Captain Kaipō got a new crew member, a young boy from Waianae. His name was Kea Makekau. The boy was nervous because it was his first time working on a tugboat. Captain Kaipō approached him. "Aloha, I'm Captain Kaipō. Welcome to the tugboat." The young crew member shook his hand. "Aloha, Captain. Mahalo for this opportunity. This is my first time on board, and I hope I don't mess up too badly." Captain Kaipō said, "No worry. It's pākawa ana ka maka ho'oloi ka pepeau. Close your mouth, watch, and listen. The ship will teach you, and so will I." After that, Captain Kaipō realized he could be doing more to help others. He decided to open a school to help the people of his community become crew members as crew members and captains, just like his family and Captain Sonny Waialeale helped him. In this lifetime, he had worked hard and gained much. The time had now come for him to share with others a valuable lesson his father taught him so many years before on the beach. ʻUʻuku Ka Hana ʻUʻuku Ka Loaʻa. Mahalo. My background information, if you want me to do it through that kindly, I can.
You wanna is that the background that you read earlier, Uncle Kaipō, or just a different page? Or is that the page after this one?
Yeah,
that's the page after this one you read. Okay. Up to you. Up to you.
No, but I want to point out that if you folks get the book, these 3 last pages is very important. These are the people that helped me through my life to get where I am and I was today, actually. So those 3 pages, if you folks get the book, the mahalos and my background information. Also, you got a nice picture of Auntie Donna. And then some other, like, I'm going to read the last paragraph, Kylie. Last but not least, a big mahalo to all the maritime industry leaders in the state of Hawaii. Dagwan, Kapena Brad Remo of SBI Honolulu, Uncle Leighton Seyu and Gary North and Vic Angoko from Matson. Erinos and all Hawaii State pilots and the staff of the Hawaii Pilots Association. Glenn, Dean, Rick, and of Foss Brothers YB, HTB. That's our icon over there. Nate and Julie of Kirby Corp. Scott of American Workboats. Charlie and Sandy, PNR Water Taxi. The Maritime Unions of IBU, MFOW, SUP, SIU, ILW, MEBA, and MMNP. Ian of Honolulu Shipping Inc., they hire a lot of our students. Fred took every one of our students that didn't have a job from Morisco. Really love that brother. Thank you, Fred. Charlie of Kewalu, who was a stepping stone for a lot of our captains today with PNR Taxi. All the shipyards. David and Wendy of University of Hawaii. Will Akama, Pete, and Mark and brother Louis, Auntie Helen. These were all to be of UHLLC, is where the Waianae Maritime Academy was housed. Carl Chuck and Commander Don of Regans of MLC. Henry Kaimi, brother Elton, Jack, Lance, and Ocean of the Honolulu Fire Department, the Maritime License Center, who assisted in our ocean program. Erica, Jason of the U.S. Coast Guard REC, big part of our lives. Special thanks to Lono and Catherine Cunny, Pastors Neil and May Leslie, Billy Gabriel and Ohana at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Aluliki Inc., Miley, Shimabukuro, Todd, and the state of Hawaii legislature who granted us a lot of money. Don and Marion from Murphy's Bar, who in one night we raised $50,000 at a outing over there. Mahalo to Matt and the gang at Maramed Foundation. Kapena Bani Kahapea, who I love very much, and her crew at Kanihuna Moku Voyaging Academy. This book I dedicate to David Belden Kuaina Kavika Lyman III, Hawaii State Pilots Association. Now and forever, my mentor and iconic.
Mahalo, Uncle. Okay. For this next section, I'm going to stop sharing because I want everyone to be able to see each other. We really want this to be a talk story session. We do have some keiki with us today, Uncle Kaipō.
Cool.
There's one keiki I see on the video. Does anybody have any questions? If you know how to raise your hand on the Zoom, if you're on your iPad, you have to click the more button and that's where your raised hand is. If you are on your computer, I believe you also press the more button to raise your hand, or either that or it's in the chat. Different platforms and different places that things are at are hard to keep track of. If you guys don't feel comfortable turning your mics on, you guys can also put some questions into the chat. Uncle Kaipō, we already had Kavena. She said that she had to ha'alele to her next meeting, but she said to mahalo you today for your presentation. So that was one thing that was in the chat already. Did anybody have any questions?
If the keiki, I like to take the keiki's questions first.
And then feel free to turn on your guys' cameras if you want to. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, let's see your face.
That's the fun part about doing the meeting instead of the Zoom webinar. We get to see everybody. You guys get to see me try to drink my coffee this morning while I'm trying to wake myself up. Oh, Mahialani has her coffee. I see. Okay. In case you guys don't know how to raise your hand, just turn your mic on and you guys can ask questions. That's fine too. Or I'm going to start asking you guys questions if nobody wants to talk. Oh, okay. We got one in the chat.
Yeah, Justin should have one question.
Yeah, let's see. It says, Mr. Pomaikai, how did you become a picture book author? What was that journey like? How did this book come into being?
How did this book come into being? Auntie always accused me of knocking keep still. So when I was done with the Waianae Maritime, Kanihunamoku needed some help getting started by Manao, so I would go to over there. Matt Clayball, who I know before Dirt, 1990 or before that, asked me to help contribute, and I did. And in the interim, we had a talk story session out in Kaneohe, Mahialani. I don't know where that was, but it was in a valley, I think by a pumping station. And we all sat on the ground and we started to talk story. Now this was with illustrators, Kumu, both all from kindergarten to university, sitting. And Auntie wasn't close enough to give me a nudge and said, "Be quiet, let them talk." So I just went off, and then Anohea came. You know my uncle? I go, yeah. So she said, wow. So she sat down and we talked story. And then I got a call from Bonnie Mahelani if they can write a book. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And we went through the draft process, went through all of that, and then we finally got it done. And the first reading was at Kapuke in Ward Warehouse, that Hawaiian bookstore.
Namea Hawaii.
Yes. That was the first reading, February of 2018, I believe, or 19. And then that got started. But it is a simple lesson in the book, is what my father taught me. If you do not contribute, you cannot reap. You gotta go work, gotta be prosperous and do something.
And give back, right? After you
Get off the couch and go work. That's right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so since nobody has any questions, I'm going to start asking you guys questions because this is a talk story session. So, what was your guys' favorite part of the book? Go ahead, Nicole.
I actually had a question that I don't know if you know the answer to, but the drawings were very interesting. Do you know how the illustrator made those drawings?
Yeah, all us Hawaiians look alike. So it was easy. They just pick on Hawaiian boy, and when Christy drew it out, she actually used her son as a model for me when I was young. And then
it was almost
growing
to
up,
me, it looked like they were pictures that the artist took and then maybe traced, like with the net and what the net looked like and the ocean looked like.
I think actually
No,
Mahealani has an answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Christy did take, they're from photographs, and some of them are recent photographs that, like Uncle Kaipō said, are of her son. That's the young Kaipō that you see, but some of them were like old photographs. So we actually took like a younger photograph of Uncle Kaipō that he gave to us to put in his merchant mariner's credential, or the net throwing is actually the author's father. And that's like an old photograph of him. And then, yeah, she did some filling in all on the computer though. It was all through Adobe or something, where she like created it into a line drawing. And then from there colored in, the different spaces. Yeah, super cool looking. I love it. Yeah.
And then we do have a question that ended up in the chat, Uncle Kaipō. It's a teacher at Waikoloa asking, she has 2 students that would like to be tugboat captains and she'd love to get this book for them. For our teacher at Waikoloa, you can actually, Mahealani, you can actually still purchase the books via Kanehunamoku Voyaging Society's website, correct?
Yes, correct. If you go to kanehunamoku.org, I can actually drop the direct link into the books, and then from there, it'll take you to Square, where you can order, or you could also email us and order that way as well.
And then if you guys are at home and you want to check out a copy, many of our libraries have a copy of Uncle Kaipō's book too. So if you don't want to necessarily purchase, the libraries are a good option for you to come down and spend the day with your keiki in our branches and check out Uncle Kaipō's book here. Nanakuli definitely has a copy or 2 over here for everyone. Library self-promotion. Anyway, Mahealani just put that link in the chat. So I hope that answered your question.
So if they wanted to pursue from the Big Island, if they wanted to pursue a career in
Maritime career. Yeah, mhm.
Yes. Would they look for the school in Waianae, or I know there's
No.
some,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, I know there's a school in Oregon that some students over here have gone to, or at California side, the Cal Maritime.
Okay, yeah.
There is a maritime school. Uncle Kaipō, your guys' maritime school in Waianae is PAU, but now there's a different maritime school right here in Honolulu.
Yeah, I can answer that question. First of all, the student has to be able to listen, okay, and be able to follow instructions. If they're gonna pursue a career in the Maritime Academy in your primary and secondary schools, math and science is very important. You need to have those two. English is very important. You're bilingual, that's okay. But all of the laws and all of the rules are written in English. So they need to be able to read and write. That's a beginning. And also, at 17 years old, you can call, or earlier than that, call Captain Bonnie Kahapea at Kanehuna Moku Voyage Academy, Voyaging Academy, or Melissa Hebert at Mermaid Foundation. These are two schools, and they are channels to the higher education on the mainland. Two schools. We have the Federal Maritime Academies. If your grade GPA is good, you can apply directly to any of the Federal Maritime Academies, Cal Maritime, Texas Maritime, Mass Maritime. But if you want to go the 2-year route, you have to be no older than 24, and you have to call the Inland Boatmen's Union in the state of Hawaii. This is actually a perk for our union members, and mostly all of us have benefited, not only in our members, that like in Hawaii, you uncle, auntie to everybody. So when you get them, and you get them financially healthy in a good paying job, you don't need to worry about them. That's why we like send them to school, get their license. There's two ways again: Mermaid Foundation, Kanehuna Moku Voyaging Academy, and they can direct you. Okay, if not, Kylie, just give them my phone number.
Okay, can do. And then Kini, I also forgot to mention on the Kanehuna Moku Voyaging Society, since you are a teacher, they actually have downloadable curriculum and the downloadable PDF of the book available on their website that you can utilize as a teacher. So I also wanted to mention that today, which is really awesome. Thank you, Mahealani, for putting that in the chat. Mahealani also mentioned the Merrimed Foundation. It's an Oahu-based adult program to help introduce people to the pathways in the maritime industry. So that's also another thing. I believe when I checked Merrimed the other week, they just started their new round of classes this June. So their next round should be in a couple months, I believe. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah,
I could also add, add a little bit. So that place in Oregon you had mentioned is called Tongue Point. It's a Job Corps program, which is really awesome because you can, it's pretty much free to attend. But of course, you have to meet like a certain bracket, and it goes, like Uncle Kaipō said, goes up to age 24. And that program, we actually have a lot of Hawaii students right now, including one from Hawaii Island who attended Navahi, the immersion school, who was one of our students. And if there's a Job Corps, I'm not sure if there's a Job Corps on the Big Island. I know we have one in Waimanalo here on Oahu. If you get in contact with them, they can help you set up the student to get into Tongue Point in Astoria, Oregon. Of course, California Maritime Academy is a 4-year college, which is a great option if they're college bound. And then another place that we often direct students to is the Seafarers International Union, which is in Piney Point, Maryland. That one is also free of charge once you get there, but you have to like pay your own way and pay for all the documentation that's required, dentist appointment, TWIC card, like all these prerequisites that you have to pay for on your own. But once you get there, it's free, and they have lodging and everything. So really great programs. All great pathways into the industry. And we definitely want part of the book, I think, is to encourage more of our local students to get into the industry. Over the years, it's changed a lot, and a lot of people in the industry are brought in from elsewhere. And so I think our students don't know what's out there for them, and that's an option. So yeah, I would love if you share it with these students who are interested at such a young age. Yeah, Uncle Kaipō, you're probably about that same age when you became interested in tugboats.
And then I saw Mr. Asing, you had your mic off. Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to say aloha to you, Kaips.
How are you?
This is so it's I'm touched to be sitting in front of your presence, cousin. And I think this is the first time we get to chat. I'm impressed of your book, and it goes deeper than just being a book for me. And I will share this with my grandchildren and tell them of who you are, okay? And
Love you, cuz.
yeah, I was very moved when I seen your dad and your mom's name. And I am related to Kaipō. We share the same great grandmother. And we come from, but doing muhauhau is most important to me. And I found many things that needs to be discussed or shared with our family. But Kaipō, for what you do, one of the, always when I grew up, Papukolea, we always used to go Kewalo Basin and look at the aku boats. And one thing that caught my eye was the tugboats. And my brother at that time, he was working paramedics, but he had the kuleana to take care of all their safety equipment inside the boats, the aku boats, the tugboats and stuff. And I had a chance to go on top there and eat breakfast on a tugboat. And that blew me away. I always did want to be a cook on a tugboat. Not so much, but a cook. Because the impression was when I got there, we sat and we ate this. And throughout my life, I never got to achieve that. But it's one of the things that I hope my grandchildren can. And most special is that book. I'm going to get that book so I can share that and keep that in the family for for part of our. And I will let them know who you are in our mokuahau, so they get the picture. And we teach our children mokuahau easy. They say navahi, everybody speak Hawaiian, and they're doing a lot of stuff, all Hawaiian, all things Hawaiian. And only when they come over here and they sit down in front of my computer, they're like, go on YouTube. No, I take them right to the mokuahau. Yeah, you guys go do mokuahau before I let you guys go do YouTube. But it's always
Just
special. And
if you get the book, send them to me. I sign them and send them back to you.
Yeah. Again, so one of the striking things is when you mention your dad and your mother, and I've come to know who your mother is through our connection on Facebook. But this is the first time I get to speak to Kaipō, and I've known each other on a kind of related. Yeah, and your music as well, and all accolades that you did. Your when you weave, you weave the knots and stuff like that. There was something special that I really took a liking to, Kaipō. And not many people can do not weaving, but knots and stuff like that on a tug. So something like that would have been really. I mean, that's a lot of history, but anyway, I just am overwhelmed to meet you, and we gotta talk. Talk about all that kukui haile, we highly white people. I mean, I live up here now, Kauai High, so I've been grooving this, I know, big time,
Pomaikai.
many years, and the history of white people and others, bro. Ka Hana is another one. Kaipō, I don't know if you are aware of Ka Hana, but
Yeah, we all got a tough story.
Ka Loaʻa, you know, our mokuaha go deep, Ka Loaʻa, Nikona, and but anyway, I hope maybe maybe not the right time, but we should do on Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, actually.
All right, call me or message me and then get your number and email. We set that up.
But
Maybe
Kaipō
it's
is he's a Zoom expert now, so.
Something I don't know, but to you two ladies, thank you guys for hosting this. When I seen it, I got really excited because my cousin is attached to that, and I wanted to see dipping. Now we still carry the same cocoa, but
Amen.
just a branch off on a different line there. And we never knew these guys growing up. Yeah, it was different group. Us guys was Papukule, you guys was Tamaina, yeah.
Yeah, Nanakuli.
Yeah.
Mahalo, Justin,
Our
mahalo.
Dumbo was the city.
So
Yeah.
we can get a second book maybe out of there. The knots would be fabulous.
I
we
sense
can-
a future library program with you, Uncle Kaipō, on knot tying.
Yeah.
For those of you that are here with us today, many of us who have known Uncle Kaipō for a long time, all of us have either a keychain or a bracelet or a necklace or
Bookmark.
something that Uncle Kaipō has made us with us knowing him for so long. So actually, when we did this planning meeting for this program, Mahealani, me, was Bonnie was logged into that day. All of us busted out, like I had the necklace on, and then somebody had their keychain, and we all reminded Uncle Kaipō, you know, how many years ago he had given us these cool knot bracelets or knot necklaces. So yeah, I think he's grabbing it to show you guys what it looks like. But
Grab a guitar.
I think that's a future library program.
Grab a
Our
guitar.
next installment will be knot tying. But yeah, does anybody else? Kini, did you have any questions?
I just have questions because you know you sit and watch the tugboats, and I live just above Kauai High, so and I know I've shipped cars back and forth. Like, what is life like on the tugboat from the time you leave Honolulu? I don't know what ports you went through, but you were long enough. You probably went to all the islands. What do you do?
It's a very good question.
What do you do on the tugboat? Because they seem so small, and then you have to tell me that you have a cook on the tugboat at the same time. Is like, wow, you guys have a little cab apparently.
Yeah, first of all, the crewing of a tugboat takes years to happen. And once your name is on the billet, on the log, you're an official member of that crew. And all the rules of the federal, state, and Department of Homeland Security laws apply to you. So everybody on that boat owns that position. You have a cook, assistant engineer, usually two mates, first and second mate, and then a captain. See, everybody, when they visit the tug, they forget about the captain when the cook feed them. And they remember the food, they don't remember the captain. So they remember the cook, like Brother Justin was saying. When we go out there, it is a confined space. You're enclosed, and the vessel is watertight. Air is brought in through an AC system when we batten down and shut down. But you live on that tug for the duration of your watch with the company, and you have to work in close proximity. Now, you're going to get on that tug. You're going to get on Hawaiian, on Popolo, on Chinese, or Japanese, on somebody from East India, all on the same boat. They all eat different. So the cook is your main asset. When you always, before we leave, we have anybody has any eating restrictions, peanuts, because of your religion, you can't eat that. So the diet on the tugboat is very important. And the sleeping quarters, if they are not comfortable and not well fed, it makes the captain's job hard. So I learned to cook. When the cook couldn't handle, I tell him, drive the boat, I go cook. And it was just like that. You know, the galley table was when everybody got together, there was no rank. You sit down there and you eat, and then you go sleep. The jobs, it's usually 12 to 16 hours to Kahului, to Maui, 22 hours to the Big Island from Honolulu, and again 22, 21 to Kauai, now Wili Wili. So all of that, the power systems, the tugs are always evolving. In other words, they've gotten bigger, they've gotten more comfortable, and some guys no sail if the AC no work. That's not good. But anyway, living on a tug is great. You learn to really like the guy by the end of your 2 weeks, or you cannot wait to get off the boat and go home. That is my answer to what the living is like on a tugboat. It's you either got harmony or you got chaos.
Mahalo, Uncle Kaipō. Okay, we're almost out of time. I do want just 1 minute of your guys' time before we log out. Like I said, this program follows our summer reading challenge theme for the Hawaii State Public Library System, Oceans of Possibilities. For those of you who don't know, our reading challenge happens every summer. We encourage everyone of all ages, kupuna, keiki, parents to sign up for this challenge. You can use the app we have, and you pretty much log the minutes you read and you earn rewards for those minutes. And along with those reading minutes, our website also has downloadable activity packets that NOAA has created that are weekly, and they're themed after Oceans of Possibilities. So I don't know all the themes off the top of my head, but for example, we have a unit on coral reefs, we have a unit on ocean stewardship, we have a unit on not hurricanes, we have a unit on underwater volcanoes. Not next week, on the 30th, we actually have an upcoming virtual program called about underwater volcanoes with Chris Carvalho from the Big Island. I'm going to put in the chat the website for our summer reading challenge where you guys can kind of look and learn more. The main thing is the grand prize for this summer reading challenge is 4 tickets anywhere Alaska Airlines flies. I'm aware that Alaska Airlines went on strike. However, the tickets don't expire right away after summer. So for every 100 minutes that you read up to 1,000 minutes, you are entered to win these 4 tickets on Alaska Airlines. And like I said, all ages can participate if you're a Hawaii resident. So that means if you and all your keiki sign up for this reading challenge, you have even more chances of winning the 4 plane tickets. So mahalo, Uncle Kaipō, for allowing me my 1 minute of library program promotion. Signing up for our upcoming virtual programs, just like the one that we had with Uncle Kaipō today, is also available via that website that I put into the chat. So I encourage you guys to go check that out. We will be adding more July programs on there soon, within the next week or so, after I'm done with my upcoming huaka'i. But Uncle Kaipō, any closing statements? I just want to make sure I mahalo you for your time today. It's always a pleasure being able to talk story with you, and I'm so glad that I got to share you with everyone else today.
Yeah, good to see you too, Kylie. First of all, I want to thank you and Johanna, your mom, Marvina Kashkael, who is the CEO of Aluliki, who granted us money for the Waianae Maritime Academy and took us a lot of places that where we could share. I want to thank you. I want to thank the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Colette Machado was a huge presence, and Dante Carpenter. You know that Dante Carpenter was a third assistant engineer, Unlimited. He was a Selamoku. Dante Carpenter of Office of Hawaiian Affairs. All of our legislators from Waianae, you need to get more active in our public needs and public community services, like the Waianae Maritime Academy. Maile Shimabukuro, Tarapo, they were really instrumental in what was happening out there. Karen Awana, at those times, was very instrumental. But again, I want to thank my family, my ohana, for being there whenever I needed them. I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for giving me what I have so I can share. And for those of you who have time, volunteer at any level is very good for your health. You guys should get out there and start doing stuff with the community or be obligated to some sort of community service that will better your community and better everybody. Nanakuli, I'm proud of Nanakuli. They're growing in leaps and bounds, and good thing, your mountains on two sides, that's all you can build.
And we have a new library.
And we have a new library, one who I'm really, really proud of, a library in Nanakuli. Wow. That's big time. But everybody, again, all of my ikane, Matt Klebo, Kapena, Manikahapia, from those associations, Captain Edinos, and everybody that helped us to make sure that we can get local boys and girls into class to take these jobs that are anywhere from $40,000 to $115,000 a year. If that don't motivate you, just go ask your uncle what he make on the tugboats. You're gonna try to get on there. But again, the pathways are clear. It's open. You all have us that can help you. All you gotta do is ask. Because if you never ask, I don't know nothing. Okay, call Merrimack, call Kaniuna Moko Boys Academy, call Tongue Point, call the Job Corps, and they can assist you. And then also our friends at SIU, Piney Point is a big outcome for some of our students. So, and that's on the East Coast. You folks check that out. Anything else you need, you can contact those associations. They can get a hold of me. But I want to thank you, Kylie, most of all. Last time I saw you was in Aotearoa in 1994 or something.
Oh, not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
No. Only like 2007 or 6 or something like that.
What day is it?
Oh, you're aging me more in 10 years already. But
Anyway,
it's been an
good to see
honor
you,
to be able to know you as a child and to be able to now work with you as a librarian here at Nanakuli Public Library. That is probably one of the most, for those of you that are here today, that is probably one of the most enjoyable parts of my job, to have these people who have been in my life and in my community, and to be able to have them help me to grow, be part of my village, and then to be able to work with them as the librarian at Nanakuli, to be able to read their book to Keiki. That is for me one of the best parts of my job. So I'm gonna let everybody go because we're at time. But mahalo, Uncle Kaipō, so much for today. Mahalo everyone for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed the program. If anything, if you missed something, you logged in late, the recording will be available on our YouTube page. You should get an email reminder in a week with the link to our YouTube. All right, everybody. Ahui ho. Take care.
Aloha.
Aloha.